Second, you back out and about in the streets and in cyberspace with Marcus G and Coach with the play.
Coach TB, 1212.
What we talking about, Coach?
It's about resources and allocation of resources.
Oh yeah.
So that your company can yield a profit.
A lot of people always try to abuse my resources and I ain't with it, Tony.
Nah, we ain't having that no more. Cause see, people think that business is just a matter of buying something low, selling something high.
What happened to supply and demand?
They don't incorporate none of that stuff.
So they don't know anything about economics?
I think there are more people that inspire to be business owners than there are business owners.
I got you.
It's more than an apple cart.
I get it.
You remember the guy used to come around the corner and say, watermelon, cantaloupe,
Yeah, I remember.
and strawberries too.
The A-Rapper.
Then when he give you your change,
Uh-huh.
he pull out this big old knot of money like this, can fit in his hand, right?
Uh-huh.
And everybody go, oh my God, I want to be like that when I grow up. I want to be business so I can have a knot full of money.
Oh, man.
Business is more than having a knot full of money.
Yeah.
Business should be the vehicle to produce and pass down generational wealth.
Boom.
Very important that you should know a little history about business and your geographical surroundings, where you live at, where you grew up, where you were born.
Uh-huh.
If you were born in Nigeria, it'd be different.
Okay. Yeah.
If you was born in Norway, it would be different.
Different economics.
And yet different surroundings and different history.
Exactly.
In the United States of America.
Capitalist system.
Let's go back to 1930,
Okay.
a recession. This one in 1930,
Uh-huh.
most important.
Why you say that?
Business was starting to flow.
So you're talking about the Industrial Revolution, basically.
To have a recession at the beginning of that is crucial. It's a problem because it's going to be hard to come back.
Uh-huh.
The vehicle to spring forward entrepreneurship and ideas was the stock market.
Yeah.
What brought us kind of sort of out of that recession was World War I, right? All right, so we started selling a lot of missiles, bombs, guns, rockets across to these world organizations that were at war.
So you saying Bethlehem still was jamming?
The United States just wanted just to sell their product. They wasn't worried about getting into no world war. But Japan said, oh, I beg to differ. You're gonna get into war whether you like it or not. So they came over and bombed Pearl Harbor.
Right.
So the United States got in the water, the industrial complexes manufactured, went up sky high, which then took the market up, the stock market. And the stock market being a vehicle for business and entrepreneurship, it wrote the trend. When the market started going up, business started going up, the United States started going up.
Right.
After the war, the soldiers start coming home from the war. So now my father is considered a what? A baby boomer.
Right.
Because the baby started booming when the guys came home from the war.
Right.
We were born into what we call a blue collar city.
So what's the opposite of blue collar?
White collar.
Okay.
Being born into a blue collar city, you're going to be educated in a certain fashion.
So what does blue collar workers do?
Blue collar workers are a support system.
Okay.
They
So
like
it's more like the labor workforce.
they're your maintenance men, they're your construction workers.
So your white collar is more on the opposite end of management, administration, and things of that nature, is what you're saying.
Yes, the white collar is more into helping the actual vehicle that push businesses forward to run, meaning the stock market.
Okay.
So you have blue collar that runs a city,
Uh-huh.
and then you might have white collar that runs the stock market and business.
So it sounds like they making the real money.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that they allocate the resources better than the blue collar because of misinformation and uneducation with respect to how business and funds supposed to be allocated in order to create something called generational wealth.
Okay, so management knows how to manage the money and make the money flip and make more money.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And blue collar, they're gonna receive their check,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna pay their bills,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna make sure their kids good,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna save some money up for retirement,
Uh-huh.
and they good with that. Oh, so don't forget about the 2 vacations a year, or one or two vacations in a year.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times the blue collar workers, they don't even really go on vacation for 3, 4, 5 years. Point I'm trying to make with the whole conversation is this. Strategically allocating your resources is the most important aspect of the whole game. The competitive spirit is at large. You playing some kind of competition game and you don't take notice to what the real adult game is, that's a problem.
Okay.
Because you losing, and not only are you losing for yourself, you losing for your family, and you losing for your culture, and you losing generational by not being aware of a couple little key situations. The podcast is to inform those that want to learn how can I create generational wealth. Well, you have to adequately allocate your resources strategically.
Sounds like to me it's not so much about where you work. It sounds like it's more about how you invest and diversifying your portfolio so that you have multiple streams of income. It's not really about blue collar, white collar. It's just about how you manage your money, time, and investment. It really sounds like what you're saying.
Absolutely correct, man.
So you could be blue collar, white collar, and you can really build generational wealth. Because I know a lot of people who started out as blue collar and they work their way up to becoming white collar and generate wealth. There are plenty of people who are blue collar workers who started businesses that learn to flourish and end up getting on-job education about different things because they surround themselves with the right people who knew how to take advantage of the system to generate wealth. I think that's one of the biggest things that came out of the Industrial Revolution. If you ever study business administration in college, they teach you about the Industrial Revolution and how all of these systems that they experiment with over the year are still being studied and applied today. Look at it like this. If you're willing to study and learn, it's very important regardless of where you at, because now you have certifications, and a lot of people who end up starting businesses end up creating these businesses for their kids to work at, and their kids end up learning from the people that they hire to take over the business. So that's a whole nother education that you don't necessarily get when you're in college or going to school, because you're able to actually learn from people who actually studied this and perfected this, and it's no longer a theory.
Right, it's on the job training for those youngins. You make a very good point, because somebody that's already experienced business and understand it, it's better to learn from them.
So you talk about playing the game of allocating resources.
After the recession, United States started going on an uptrend.
Right.
It was because money was flowing. When you say allocation, it's like saying deposit.
Okay.
So the money that the people was making from selling those bombs, selling those missiles, selling those bullets, they couldn't hold it under their mattress in a shoebox. They had to put it somewhere, right? So they deposited those funds somewhere. So everybody standing on the block, Marcus over here saying, hey man, put your funds over here at MGL Bank, because I'm gonna give you 3% on your money every year. And then TB might be over here saying, hey man, put your money over here at TB branch, because I'm gonna give you 5% every year, right?
Okay.
So say that happens, and that's what's been going on the market. Then we take the funds,
Right.
and what we do with the funds is we invest those funds into what? Businesses and ideas. That's what was happening. The money that was coming in, the people on Wall Street in the white collar world understood the rules to the game. The people in blue collar cities had no necessity, no reason to understand those rules, because they felt like they wasn't supposed to be in those rules, okay? Think about it. My pops was a baby boomer. He worked at Bethlehem Steel, making 100-something thousand a year back in the 70s. That's crazy money for him. He was like, he was good. He was happy. They was feeling lovely. They was like good. My grandfather was coming home from a war. You know, they didn't pay them a lot of money in the war. My grandmother, you know, she was a seamstress, so she wasn't making a lot of money. The baby boomers, our parents start making money. They get what you call, I'm good, I'm content. Because the rules of the whole generational wealth passed down was never explained to them. And so what we're trying to do on this particular podcast is just explain the rules of generational pass down and progression. And the trend of progression going upward in life and in success and in business and in where we live, where we travel, we need to understand the rules. So the solution to doing better is just plainly having the rules laid out for you. If the stock market is the vessel to get to generational pass down, then you would want to learn about that. Now, I'm not saying, oh, go learn how to trade in the stock market, go learn how to be invested in the stock market. No, but I do suggest that you get with somebody who does, because then you will have the opportunity to pass down generational wealth because you're in the game. You allocate your funds to a position that is going to bear you compounding interest is how you pass down generational wealth. How do you get in the compounding interest pass down game? How do you get in there? We have what you call an educational exclusive investment club. This is where you are able to allocate funds to the club as well as learn the game of passing down generational wealth to your family. It's a double whammy. On the other side, they don't have to offer you that. All they have to say is, look, we've been around forever. We'll give you 5% a year. You're never going to pass it down because it's not compounding interest. You want to understand how some people are able to pass down generational wealth and others aren't. And the whole key about it is, if you never start passing down generational wealth, your family is going to constantly be on this treadmill running in place and not going nowhere. The only reason why some people are continuously able to pass down generational wealth is because they had the wealth in the beginning from however means, and they passed it down. Then they were able to use that wealth, generate more wealth, and pass it down again. So they're always going to be ahead in the game because they know the game and they plan the game properly. Some people need to be informed about the game, and that's what this podcast is taking up. We're going to inform you on how the game works. So therefore, allocating money into something such as an investment group and making sure that you're getting compound interest in that group is a way to generate that revenue. Why is that important? Because as an entrepreneur, a lot of people have ideas. Take it from me, a lot of people have business ideas and they be great ideas, but they can't go get the resources for that idea, right? They can't go get the resources for that plan. Why? Because most of the people that they're around or could go to don't understand it, so they're not inclined to do it. Banks are not going to give it to you either, because you got to remember, this is a game. So if that's the case, when you walk into the facility of these particular groups and say, hey, you know, I got this great idea, whatever idea you may have, you walk into their facility and they already know the game, they're going to turn you around and say, no, this game ain't for you, roll out.
The first thing they're gonna ask you is what assets and collateral that you have.
It wasn't a part of generational wealth, that's gonna probably be zero. So basically, are you saying if you have no assets and no resources, there's no way that you can get in the game and win?
Learn the rules of the game.
That will lead you to being able to do this with those obstacles that they put in front of you.
Learn to invest.
Because if you come off the steps and your grandpa, your grandma, your mama ain't leave you no generational wealth, how are you gonna start a business? I'm not supposed to say, oh, you know what? I was born into a situation where there was no generational wealth. I had to get it however I could get it. Am I supposed to say, you know what? I'm just gonna put my blue collar on today, and I'm just gonna go out here and give me a 9 to 5 and just go on and live paycheck to paycheck. Am I supposed to just say that?
No, if you're an entrepreneur, what you'll do is you'll find the proper resources you need to get what you want. It's about understanding, like you said, the name of the game. An entrepreneur is one who knows how to gather resources to turn it into a profit. You take some ideas, you take whatever resources that you have, and then you turn it into something that is about supply and demand. So there's all sorts of ways, but you have to understand the rules of the game, like Tony was saying, because there's ways to go about it. But if you just walk into the bank and says, I have an idea, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. You just walk up to an investor, you don't have a business plan, you don't have any experience, they're gonna look at you like you crazy. So yes, it's very important to understand how to gather your resources, how to allocate them, and surround yourself with the right people, because not everybody is an entrepreneur, but you have people who have great business ideas. So you might employ an entrepreneur, or you might employ somebody who has those resources to get what you need. But then that goes into negotiation. Okay, this is my idea. What kind of deal can I broker with you to make some money off of this? Because without you, I won't be able to get access to these resources to turn into anything that will make me money. So then you still stuck back in the boat. So now you have to just understand the rules of the game, like Tony was saying.
Yeah, man. Do you know what a country club is?
Mm-hmm.
Country clubs are golf courses, club members only.
Mm-hmm.
A bank is nothing but a club that helps some people and swindle others. And I'm saying we need our own club. Why do you have to be a part of their club? How many fees did they hit you with last year and the year before? If you do the research, they made billions of dollars off of fees alone. Anyway, bottom line is this. They were really going hard. They sat around at the boardroom table and said, you know what, we got to get these guys, we got to give them to give us direct deposit. Matter of fact, anybody that's going to give us direct deposit, we'll give them $50, you know? Because they wanted that money coming, not even going in your hand, going straight from the business that was paying you to them. They take it, use it, flip it, do all kinds of business deals with it. When you go to the ATM and say you need $20, they give you $20. But if you go and you say you need a little bit more and you may go over, they're gonna charge you $35 because you went over $2. They swindling you. We sit there and accept it. We don't look for ways and ideas. You hear complaints about, oh, you know, we don't have a supermarket in our neighborhood. There's nobody in your neighborhood that you can get behind and say, hey guys, we want to get a supermarket here. Let's put it together. Because they didn't teach you to think like that. That's how they think, the ones that own the bank. You got to remember, they wasn't always a bank. They ain't come out their mother womb being a bank. They sat down at the table, just like me and Marcus is sitting here right now, and we talking about how can we have our own club where our ideas in our community can be funded, like the resources be allocated properly. The same thing that they're doing, they got so many companies that you can invest in and make a substantial amount of profit with, but they make the game to the point where, as though, for example, if you wanted to buy McDonald's, I remember when we were first looking at it, they wanted $500,000. That was about, what, maybe 10 years ago. Now they want 1.5 million. So everything is going up. So if you say, hey, I want to get into Forex, or I want to get into this company or that company, NVIDIA, Tesla, you got to come with a substantial amount of money in order to be a part. If you're not walking in the door 3, 4, 5 million, they really don't even want you at their country club. They're not going to sell you any golf clubs. Studying the rules, getting with some people that understand the rules, sitting down, seeing how you can be supportive to that will be the first step towards going and creating generational wealth that you can pass down to your whole family, along with having others in your community being able to do the same, being able to open up supermarkets and putting them in your neighborhood, put up coffee shops and putting them in your neighborhood.
So what you're saying is there's money in the neighborhoods, but it's not being reinvested to the neighborhoods to build it back up the way it needs to be. And they're taking those funds and reinvesting those in other areas so that you don't have supermarkets, you don't have certain necessities, and you have to go out the way to get them. It's about really just investing back into where you live, your neighborhoods, and how to really make it a place for you to flourish and live and enjoy life.
It's the best investment going. It's just that the boys on Wall Street don't want to invest over here, because even though it's going to have high returns, because you have many people in our communities with great ideas that will bear you high returns, they rather invest in their suburban communities. And I'm saying, why are we sitting around waiting for them to give us something, or waiting to have a seat at the table? We build our own table, is how we do it. And the way we do it is through information, education, simple rules. You invest into your own community. How? You do it as a group. You don't try to go and open up a whole supermarket by yourself. No, you get you a few like-minded individuals that are interested in investing into a high return. Forget it. If the community wasn't going to bear a high return, I wouldn't be talking about investing in it. You will bear a higher return than those that are investing in the suburbs. That's why the thought is there, because I know many of people that have great ideas, need resources, need funding. They can't get it from the bank. They need somewhere else to go to get those resources and those fundings to back these people. You ever watch Shark Tank?
I watched it.
Been going for 15 years. When they first started it, they thought it wasn't gonna make it. But it's so many people with so many great ideas, and they only need a little bit, a teeny bit of funds to get those ideas off the ground and run them up to $1 billion company. It's happening every day. So I don't know why it's so hard for our community to understand that, hey, get with the individuals so that their own community can grow and so that they can create compound interest and pass down generational wealth. It's not gonna fall out the sky to you. There's no more time to waste. You have to get with my guy, MGL, DM, let him know that you just simply wanna learn. That's it. I wanna learn how I can generate generational wealth for my family and possibly help some people in the community that has great ideas but not the proper resources to fund these ideas. We are creating that situation. We have a nonprofit branch as well called Malvo Media Institute, where the kids are going to be taught how to allocate resources, how to create generational wealth while knocking out two birds with one stone. You're going to be informing and educating the youth, which we always want to help, because we were informed and educated by our seniors. Follow us on the podcast. Continue to flow with us because we're going to be dropping jewels, as I told you before. Yeah, we're going to ask you to like that podcast.
Share that podcast.
Subscribe to the podcast because it helps out the algorithm.
I'm Marcus G.
I'm Coach TB.
And we out and about in the streets and in cyberspace. Catch you next time.